like I said, within that 6-month period, I probably learned more and retained the knowledge a lot better than I did in all of my 6 years of school. Good morning, guys. Today I'm in Miamisburg, Ohio. I'm on a business trip for my company. My new company just purchased a robotic cell from Yaskawa, so I'm here to get trained up on that. So I figured if I'm going to be staying away from home, I'm going to be kind of bored, might as well work on some YouTube. But I can't really build anything inside of a hotel. That'd be a really good build series, though. I'll add it to the list. Anyways, this will give me some time to stock up on daybreak content, even though this is like my least viewed videos on my channel. I don't care. It's something to put up. Something for the algorithm. So today I want to talk about college. And if I could turn back time, would I do everything the same way? Where to begin? Okay, you see the reason I want to talk about this so bad is because not my experience in college, rather everything that happened after I graduated. Okay, so here's how it played out. So my last year of school, well, okay, there's not enough time for that. I'm going to skip to my last 2 weeks of school where everything was all sorts of messed up because of COVID. What a waste of time that was. All right, so I'm going to graduate. My girlfriend, who's a year or two behind me, decided she wanted to transfer schools, so go somewhere else for a nursing program. She pretty much only had one option in terms of transferring schools in the entire United States. And this school just happened to be in Waterloo, Iowa. So the job and the house hunt began. We had about a month before we had to be out of our old place. And I was about to be freshly graduated, so I was thinking to myself, man, this should be easy, be getting a good paying job. Everything will work itself out. I mean, after all, I spent $38,000 in 6 years of my life to get this little piece of paper. I was thinking all this hard work's going to pay off. Wouldn't you think? I'm not joking when I say I must have applied to over 50 different companies and pretty much the same results over and over again. It was my lack of experience. There was this one job for a company in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I went through a hiring agency, and again, off topic. If there's one thing in the job hunt process that I absolutely hate is working with hiring agencies. Some of these guys will call you nonstop, especially the ones for John Deere. Oh my God. I've received probably like 25 phone calls in an hour. And these guys are relentless. They do not give up. Anyways, this company down in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, they checked my resume out and like, oh, that's fine. But since you don't have any experience, we're going to have you take an IQ test. What? I guess that's kind of understandable. I think they made like military parts. I don't know. That was almost 3 years ago now that I applied. And obviously I didn't get the job. But I remember this test was like, it seemed pretty hard. But I didn't even know what I got on it because I didn't share the scores. All they did was like, yep, you didn't make the job. And that's all they gave me. But I thought it was really weird that the company required an IQ test. Like that was the first I've ever heard of that. Going on, I needed to get a job because that would dictate where we could live. My girlfriend, she could have got a job, but the job she would have got would be much lower paying, so that would have changed where we could live in terms of like how expensive a place we could buy. Everywhere we were applying to, like, whoa, you don't have a job, there's no way you could pass our application process. Time goes on, a few other engineering interviews, same result. Oh, sorry, we didn't know you didn't have any experience. You really need some experience to get this job. Well, you should have looked at my resume before you decided to hop on a video interview with me. Just wasting my time. Second thing is, I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, and the school I went to, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, their engineering program, I don't want to put the wrong words into this, but it seemed like it was more geared towards like PCB, circuit analysis, and design. So like big tech company stuff, startup companies, working on cell phones, IoT, stuff like that. Whereas I'd say 90 to 95% of the job market in the Midwest is all heavy industrial. So we're talking controls automation engineers, which my school, we had a controls emphasis. But again, I don't think that was really comprehensive of what the Midwest industry really looks like. Though both shared a lot of background knowledge, so to speak, and there's a lot of similarities between the two. But when it comes to the companies, if you don't have any experience, they're not going to hire you. So I went to school, at a school, for bigger tech company stuff. Like I'd have to move out to California or something on the east or far west coast in order to get granted, the job would be paying really well and I'd be probably set up for what I went to school for. But like I said, the Midwest was not hiring for that. These control engineers deal with the PLC, communications, ladder logic, robotics and automation and all that stuff. And from what I understand, you can get that at a 2-year tech school and you'll be making the same amount as someone with the degree, as long as you have experience. It's all about experience. And on the other hand, I didn't have any internships or co-ops, so I guess that's where those have their fair share. What ended up happening as far as the job search, because I obviously found a place to move and a job. Well, I looked for a job with the only thing I did have experience in. That was welding. Right. $38,000, 6 years of my life. Let's go get another welding job. And surprise, surprise, I only applied to one company. They were hiring for welding for like $22 an hour, which was a whole $2 more than what I was currently making at my previous welding and fabrication job. So I was like, that's not half bad. Fast forward, drive out to Iowa and take this weld test. I was actually really nervous to take this weld test because I've never taken a weld test before. I did fine. What they had us do was make a birdhouse, and out of sheet metal. I think it was like 14 gauge sheet metal. Was actually kind of cool. I still have the birdhouse. But after I took the weld test, like, wow, man, your welds are really good. We'd be willing to give you like top out pay for that. Granted, it took me 45 minutes to put it together. They're like, you're a little slow, but we can work on that with you. I was like, awesome, great. So they went and offered me the weld position, but during the tour of the factory, I mentioned to them that I just graduated and I had a degree in electrical engineering. So their production manager was like, oh, really? Well, we have a job opening. And that's where the door just kind of creaked open there. And I was like, okay. What is it for? It's for our robotics automation technician. And I was like, oh, okay, but you guys know I don't have any experience in that, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's not fine. We've seen your weld test. Since you have the degree, we think you'd be able to learn the rest really fast. But in our experience, all of the other old guys, they failed at this position because they didn't have the welding knowledge. And you're programming a welding robot, you need to know how to weld. So they offered me the welding position. It was like $22 an hour, something like that. And I was like, great, we got a backup plan. I can start applying for housing. Week goes by, They then offer me the robotics automation technician, I think for like some $55,000 a year. I was like, yes, I'll hop on that. Thank you. Thank you for the offer. And then I'm going to kind of just go a little fast here. But first year, $55,000, robotics automation technician. Well, let's back that up. First year, welder. First year in a week, welder, robotics automation technician. Within 6 months, because I looked up online, I was like, well, you should be getting a 6-month review at most companies. Apparently that's not a thing, especially with smaller companies like the one that I went to. So I started looking around for jobs again around that 6-month period to, try to get some leverage as far as negotiating my next salary. And within that 6 months, my learning curve was just through the roof. Like, I came into this company not knowing how to do any technical skills except for what I brought over from college, which, like I mentioned, was almost nothing. But I'm talking, I pretty much went from electrical engineering to mechanical engineering in a 6-month period. And everything I learned in school was, here's the thing. The one good thing about school is that it taught you how to think, right? It taught you how to critically think and solve problems and adapt really fast. All of the knowledge you learn in college, you don't remember, right? Like I said, within that 6-month period, I probably learned more and retained the knowledge a lot better than I did in all of my 6 years of school. Like the actual equations and stuff like that. But the one thing school did teach me is how to problem solve and adapt. So that 6 months there, I basically became a mechanical engineer, which is almost the complete opposite of the electrical engineering. But I'm not kidding. I learned SolidWorks in the first 2 months. I learned a bunch of mechanical design. I learned how to put things together mechanically instead of electrically. And granted, my fabrication background helped a lot with that as well. I guess, where am I going with this, right? The main thing everybody wants is experience. And what opened the door for me was my previous experience as a welder. Granted, they probably wouldn't have looked at me if I didn't have a degree, because the owner was an old school guy. He was part of that era where, everybody had a degree. They're pushing everybody towards that now, but he wouldn't have gave me the opportunity if I didn't have that piece of paper, because what they were saying is, since I had my degree, I had potential to learn, so they were willing to invest in me. And I say that's probably like 1% of the companies starting out. If you don't have any experience in it, they're not going to do it. But since I did have a little bit of welding experience, which is what they were struggling to find, they're like, oh, perfect match. And it actually ended up working out really good for them. I made them a lot of fixtures and probably a lot of money at that. Okay, so what's the final question, right? Is college really worth it? I'm still not 100% sure. Why don't you guys let me know down in the comments if anyone ever reached this far in the video. But I feel like the people who have reached this far, they've never went to college. And I know exactly who's going to be commenting. Yeah, so was college worth it? One, $38,000, 6 years? No. In terms of the time and money spent, not worth it. However, the social aspect of things, definitely worth it. As far as getting out there, getting to know different people, learning how to communicate with people, working together in teams. I was the leader. I was the president of the MMA club. I went to a lot of other clubs, parkour, and believe it or not, cheerleading. I was involved a lot with those, and I helped organize a bunch of events and other leadership things rather than going to internships and co-ops. But I think that will help me out later in my career here. Leadership skills versus raw experience. I think that'll be good. So in terms of the social aspect, like I just said, yes, definitely worth it. Monetary, no. But in the small percentage of cases where someone's looking at your degree, you pretty much wouldn't get the job without it, even if you had experience. Like in my case, if you had a bunch of experience and didn't have the degree, you wouldn't have got the job. So basically, you're just paying for that piece of paper saying, look, I did it, I can do it, here's my proof. And for that specific employer that I had, that was enough. However, all 50 of my previous interviews with the other companies, if I didn't have direct experience for the job I was applying for, I wouldn't get the job. And some of them even told me I didn't even need the degree, I just needed the experience. So then you're kind of, everybody says it, but how am I supposed to get the job if I don't have the degree? How am I supposed to get the experience if I don't have the job? So it's kind of a catch-22 there. But if you can somehow figure out how to get the experience and you don't need the degree, I'd say 1,000% go for that. Whether that be taking a shorter route, a 2-year tech school, an internship, an apprenticeship. Dude, go on YouTube and just get as much experience as you can. Start doing it yourself if you can. It's just all about experience. So if I could go back in time and redo it, I think I'd actually go to like a 2-year tech school or something. Now that I know exactly, well, first of all, I'd research the area that I wanted to live in a lot more than I did. Because then I would know what jobs are out there and then what schooling I would need to get those jobs. But I was only, I was 18 years old, graduated high school. I don't know what to do. Everybody else is going to college. I'm going to go. Yeah, I would have done a lot more research. And then I would have known, I would have liked to be a controls engineer. And then I would have went to a 2-year school, got my controls engineering degree, and went from there, and it would have been more logically thought out than spending all that money. But I can't argue with where I'm at right now. Pretty good spot. Learning new things every day. And as far as where I'm at, I wouldn't change anything. Maybe just go back a few steps, and I would have got here a lot quicker. Definitely that. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I don't know how much sense that made to you guys, but talking through that with me, talking through that with myself, actually even just cleared up a lot more confusion in my own head, which doesn't seem all that bad now. Before I was freaking out. I was like, why did I even go to school? And kind of talking through both sides. It's definitely helpful, but you don't need to spend $38,000 in 6 years of your life to get that. There's better ways of doing it. Yes. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your coffee, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.